Welcome. Life's messy, funny, and full of stories worth telling. On Cat Stories, we bring you a bunch of short ones every time, quick, relatable, and maybe just what you needed today. My name's Kathleen and let's jump in. And for our next post, am I the idiot for flipping out on my family? Hello everybody. So I am an eldest daughter, and my whole life I have always been the emotional blanket for my family. So I was tired and was trying to diffuse a fight between my mom and little brother, and I just started yelling at them about how they never say thank you or say they appreciate everything I do for them. They both got really upset, claiming they did say thank you, and I started giving examples about how I stay up late to make sure the house is clean, walk the dog at night, turn off all the lights and cover them when they are asleep, and how I am always up past the time I need to be doing stuff for the house and not myself. Then I have to stay up even later to do HW and get stuff together, so it has led to me sleeping 2 hours or less a night trying to get my own life and theirs together. So am I the idiot for finally yelling at them both? And for our next post, am I the idiot? Hotel room issue. Step siblings kind. I've recently reconnected with my dad few months ago after about 3 years of not talking. He had a mini stroke and he apologized for not always being there, and I apologize for some hurtful, truthful things I said. Anyway, he has offered me to come away on holiday with him, his girlfriend of 4 years, and her 2 kids 14M and 17F. Which is all good. I'm not super social but impolite and would be a nice bonding experience, but the problem is I've met the GF for literally 5 minutes before and never met the kids, and he is kind of insisting on me sharing a room with the girl. I've said twice now I need my privacy and that I will even pay for my own room bathroom. He has money, so I know this isn't an issue. It's a week-long trip abroad and M25F just seems awkward. Why not put the 2 siblings together? Am I being overdramatic? It's just putting me off. Going the away is not really acknowledging. Extra info: I've never been abroad with him and have always lived with my mom, so it's not even like it's a yearly family holiday. Also, the woman he cheated on my stepmom with, hence why my bio bro fell out with him. Am I causing hassle? And for our next post, am I the idiot for sending this feedback email? So I 21F applied for a job on one of our campus recruitment websites. For more context, I work in a technical field and I am a final year college student. Fast forward to this morning, after relentlessly trying to just find a job to make ends meet without bankrupting my parents. I had been applying to jobs for more than half a year and I finally get an interview. I only got like 4 interviews this period of time, so as you might guess, I was extremely happy for this. The interview starts. We go on to my experience. He tries to be a smartass about knowing better about my experience than I did, but says good job after some of these solutions. Please mind that he kept interrupting me. Moving on, we started talking about my internship at the nice company. He started to call my position a corporate make-up, insulted my research, dismissed it with false info. After the interview, I specifically read forums to find the correct version and asked me if I accepted the job on that position only because of the company's name, in a mocking tone. As I really loved my time there, I got really emotional and the interview pretty much ended 5 minutes after. However, at the end of the interview he offered me the job and I told him I would contact him later for the answer. So I wrote him a fully 1,000 words feedback email out of frustration with the scenarios where he made me feel like I was the dumbest thing on the planet, and documentation forms links for all this gaslighting about my knowledge. I think I wrote it in a polite language, at least that is my take on it. I wrote it to prove I was right, not for revenge. He has a local company, probably not many clients, and I sincerely offered him my opinion on how to obtain more clients. He replied following up on some of my feedback. However, he did not read the full message and completely missed the point. At the end of the message he told me that I did not understand the business and called me out for criticizing his approach on business and solution because I did not go through it myself, at the mentioning he has never in his life seen a message written with such hate. Now, that made me feel really bad and like I hit a personal insecurity of his, but at the same time I do not feel an ounce of regret for sending that email and would probably do it again if I was gaslighted this way. Am I the idiot? And for our next post, am I the idiot for being worried about my GF going abroad with the family she nannies for? Hey people, my girlfriend has recently just became a nanny for a wealthy couple's 2 kids. One is 2-year-old girl and another is a 5-year-old autistic boy. She's been there for 2 months and today they've just asked her to go to holiday with them and the kids' auntie, uncle, grandma and granddad as well as the kids' cousin. Straight away this freaked me out and I've asked my partner to ask them if I can come as I don't personally trust the family enough to trust them to have my partner be with them for a week. Am I being paranoid and overprotective? My girlfriend has already called me extreme. I am naturally quite a paranoid person and certain things I've heard makes me question the couple. This incident has just set that off. Am I being a prick? Am I being paranoid or do I have reason to be concerned for her? And for our next post, am I the idiot for refusing to help my dad's ex-wife with rent after his passing, even though she is struggling and my half-brother is still a minor? So here's the situation. My dad passed away 3.5 years ago when my half-brother was 11 years old. My dad and his ex-wife had been separated for about 5 years before his death, but they weren't legally divorced. During that time, they didn't really have much contact, and she didn't join any family gatherings or events. Even during the funeral, she wasn't there where my aunt, my grandma, and I 32F were, and I didn't have a close relationship with her. My dad was also struggling financially and he didn't left anything behind apart from a small boat he had purchased in my name, which I sold and put the money aside for my brother's future and started paying towards his needs such as education fees and monthly allowances for him. My dad had still been supporting my half-brother's mom financially, even though they weren't living together, and I only had to communicate with her a few times after his passing about my brother's expenses. Here's where things get tricky. My aunt has been paying the rent for my dad's ex-wife and my half-brother for the past 3.5 years as my dad's ex-wife claims to be struggling financially. She works full-time but also receives a pension through my dad. Now, the landlord wants them to move out, and my aunt, who has been helping with rent all this time, is not in a position to pay for the rent in the future apartment. My dad's ex-wife is now asking me for help with rent, claiming she's still struggling. I'm honestly conflicted. I don't have a strong relationship with her, and I don't feel it's my responsibility to help her out with rent, especially when I'm already helping my brother. I've made it clear that I can't help with the rent, but she's persistent and threatening me to tell my brother that I'm this bad sister who is not helping him out with their housing situation, and she told me if I'm not helping her out with rent, I shouldn't act like a good sister and help out on anything else as well. I feel like it's not fair that I should take on this burden when I'm already looking out for my brother's well-being, and especially when my aunt has already been helping her all this time. My primary focus is on my brother's future, and I just don't want to take on any more responsibilities that aren't my own. I also want to mention that while my dad financially supported my dad's ex-wife when they were separated, their relationship was strained, and I never felt close to her. I'm struggling with whether I'm being unreasonable for not helping her, even though she's in a tough situation. So, am I the idiot for not wanting to help her out with rent, even though she's claiming that she is struggling? And for our next posts, am I the idiot for calling out my friend? My friend, let's call her V for short, 26F, me 20N, and my other friend, C19F, all go to a group for autistic adults. We were at a cafe and there was a girl sat next to us chatting with the other people. She had a mobility aid, was on the larger side, and was more affected by her autism than others on the table. I'm not judging her because I'm also on the larger side and I know it's difficult to do something about it with a mobility aid. She was also a vegan. This will come in later. The girl was being very loud and almost shouting as she spoke, but I'm pretty sure she didn't understand what she was doing wrong. My friend V asked the leader of the group to tell her to stop, which she did, but the girl carried on and didn't seem to understand what she was doing wrong. V then started saying "shoot up" in a nasty tone every time she spoke, and calling her fat and mentally disabled. I slapped V's arm to tell her to stop, but she ignored me and continued the entire night, every time I told her stop, sometimes saying I'm fat and disabled. How do you think I feel? After a while it was really dragging me and C down, so I said in a firm tone, "Shut up, nobody cares about your opinion, you're being a bitch." V stormed off and I messaged her to make sure she was getting home safely. When I got home she then messaged me saying I was out of line for shouting at her and saying that I knew it would trigger her trauma. We both had bad early lives due to nasty mothers, but I was lucky to be put into foster care. I understand about her trauma and such, but I told her that trauma and having a bad day was not an excuse for making nasty comments to someone innocent. V then denied that she ever made those comments and said she was only commenting on her being loud. I then messaged C to confirm whether she heard V say those comments about the girl's weight and veganism. V is a farmer and gets horrible comments from people on her social media, and C said she did hear those comments. I'm new to Reddit BTW, so did I overreact? And for our next post, am I the idiot for only sending my friend back $280 out of the $320 he sent me, then want it back because he owed me $40? My friends F40M and I 35F are both daily consumers of fresh produce. One might say we are even addicted. Sometimes we send each other money to grab some for the other for convenience or bulk discounts. T-Ho products will use code words. All numeric data are represented accurately. On Wednesday I was visiting Ma's produce shop and texted Sev to ask if he needed anything. He said yes, mangoes, but wouldn't have money until tomorrow Thursday. I said I was also pretty broke, but I could cover it till tomorrow, and bought him $40 of mangoes. Thursday he said he only has $10 and no gas, but gets his paycheck tomorrow Friday. I said go ahead and use it on gas. Just hit me with monies tomorrow, mentioning my bank account was over $100 withdrawn. He came, got mango bag, left. All good? Friday, Nas Saturday he texts asking if I have any honeydew melons he can borrow or buy till HW could get a full order. He says his check was short, he only has enough to get like 3 melons. He's super effed. 3 melons cost approx. $90,150. I said I was about to visit Ma's and asked if he would like to go split his on a 6-pack melons so it would be cheaper. He said he was supposedly meeting his historically super unreliable produce dealer in a little while, but she had started ignoring his calls, so yeah, he would send me over some money. He said he had $320 and PayPal'd it to me, also $20 in cash, and he needed at least 9 melons. Yes, numbers changed since his first message. I negotiated a price down from Ma for 9 at $320. I told him, and said his 20 cash would settle half the mangoes he owed me, and I guess we can settle up later. I was almost to Ma's when he said Pat just called. I asked if he wanted the money sent back and he said yes. Losing the bulk discount, my produce bill vastly increased. So I told him, okay, I can send it back, but minus the mango money, right? Because Pat is cheaper and charges flat rate no bulk discount, whereas Ma does, and my cost went up when you pulled out, so I could not longer wait for repayment. He says he isn't sure she will be cheaper, she always has, but I offer to lend him melons if it turns out he cannot afford what he needed. Unlikely. Feeling it made sense morally and mathematically for me to keep $40 he owed me, I sent him back $280. If you're going to hold my fudging money hostage, then words exchanged, misunderstandings occur. End of day he has 12 melons, I have 0, and Sev will not let me buy any of his melons. He says I am being weird about money. I say no, I just kept what you owed him. Yeah, you are, because you knew I needed it. Things degrade from there. I think Ann text he was so selfish, he should have repaid me first thing, not try to use my money to take care of his next 2 weeks when I couldn't afford that day. The Sunday he texts he didn't do anything wrong other than trusting me with his money, lost respect for me, hope it was worth the *ing him over for $40. Am I the idiot? Alright, that's it for this one. If these stories made you smile or think, hit like and subscribe for more. Oh, and don't forget to share your own stories in the comments, I love hearing them. See you next time, it's Kathleen. See you all later.